Ghost of Yotei is out now on PlayStation 5 and is the sequel to 2020's very excellent game, Ghost of Tsushima. The only thing is that this one stars a different protagonist. This one takes place 329 years after Ghost of Tsushima, and you play as Atsu, a mercenary who is tracking the Yotei Six, responsible for the murder of her entire family 16 years earlier, led by Lord Saito, who may have a connection to her family. I've been looking forward to a sequel to Ghost of Tsushima forever now. Ghost of Tsushima was one of the best video games of 2020. It was one of the coolest pieces of samurai media ever made, and there was no way I could not look forward to a sequel from Sucker Punch Studios, and they have delivered with Ghost of Yotei, and it is awesome. So good. This is one of the better video games I have played in recent memory. I haven't really been into video games lately, and I think I stated this on my last video game review. I forget which one that was, but like, games aren't really gripping me all that much. They aren't getting me addicted. Ghost of Yotei got me addicted for 2 straight days. It took me 2 days to beat this game, and I checked out a lot of the side stuff and open world and all that. Like, this game is so good. The sword play is so good. I love the sound effects, the clanging of the swords against different weapons. You don't have stances in this game. In the original one, you had to switch your stance depending on what enemy you were facing. In this one, you have to switch weapons depending on what enemy you face. For instance, if they have a long spear, your dual katanas make more sense to fight with them. If they have a giant's what looks like a rocket launcher, like a giant cannon, you want to use your big long sword for that. Or if it's just a regular enemy, you can just use your regular katana, the sword that you start out with to begin the game. It's little things like that that carry over from Ghost of Tsushima, and that might be new, or that might be changing something up from Ghost of Tsushima. What really gets you involved, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about this with this game, but it's just little intricacies like this that games like Spider-Man, Grand Theft Auto, like the games that pay so much attention to detail and don't force the controller out of your hands. When you're at a campsite, you can cook food. You can also craft different things. You can forge new weapons at your father's forging sites at your old home, and you actually get to do it with the controller. You move up like this, or you move down like that, or you press certain buttons. It's very involving. It's never something that takes the controller out of your hands or the gameplay out of your hands. This is also one of the most visually breathtaking games I have ever played. Almost every scene in this game and every area in this game has some picturesque backdrop that you can use on your laptop, or you can just print out, or wish that it was like a picture hanging in your living room above your fireplace and mantle. You could just fill up a room with almost every gorgeous shot in this game. I mean, they capture Mount Yotei so well. Like, it just looks so beautiful to play. The fighting styles, the mechanics are very accessible. They're not hard to use. There is a bit of, I think, of slow AI. I don't want to say dumb AI. I just think slow AI, because there will be times where I'm in combat, because you have to parry and block a lot, which is totally fine. It's a hack and slash game. It's totally fine. Like, yeah, sure, the gameplay might be repetitive, but when you're having this much fun, it doesn't really matter, because you're so invested in the gameplay already, in the story and the world and all the visuals and the other mechanics that define the game. But when I was in combat, I would try to block or parry, or wait for an enemy to attack me so I could parry, and it would take maybe a good 8 seconds sometimes for them to actually try to attack me, and I could try and block and parry them, and it looked, that part of the game looked a bit rough. That was where I think the game needed a little bit of polish. Obviously, a game is not fully polished on day one, but that's where I think they could use a little bit of an uptick in terms of the AI, in terms of making the AI a bit more reactive and less sluggish. But let's talk about the story for a minute, because I got so wrapped up in Atsu's journey with this story that by the end I was just like, I can't put this game down. I love Atsu as a protagonist. I might like her more than Jin Sakai. She is so good, and she has such a drive to take down all the Yotei Six. When you see what her backstory is and what actually happened that night 16 years ago and back in the 1600s in Japan, you actually have empathy and sympathy for her. And then there's shocks and twists in the story along the way. It's such a well detailed and developed story. And I gotta give video game companies, particularly companies like Sucker Punch, that just put so much thought into their stories. And sure, it might come across as a simple revenge story, but there's so many different elements to it that make it feel very original in that regard. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily something that you have seen before, even though you have. And they know that they had to take that trope and twist it on its head a little bit. And they do that thoroughly in this game. Something I like gameplay mechanic wise is that every once in a while you will have to use the trackpad, the thing in the that little useless pad in the middle of the PlayStation controller, to like write names or trace a map or something like that. And I actually thought that they made good use of that. I haven't had a PlayStation game make very good use of that in a while. And I thought it was smart that the way they did it. Atsu crossing off the names in blood as she goes along, it's satisfying. Everything's great. Those names that you have to trace on a piece of parchment. The open world aspects, I think, are also something I'm not really vibing with at this point. I think Ghost of Tsushima worked as an open world thing because open world didn't feel as stale back then, but I feel like Ghost of Yotei could have just worked more as a linear narrative game. I don't think this necessarily needed open world because the open world just feels stale. It feels like everything you've seen in an open world game before. It doesn't offer anything new. In that way, it feels very dated. There's, of course, fast travel points, which help you a lot when you're trying to achieve your objectives, whether it's the main story or side quests or other things that you're trying to find. But I just wish there was a bit more variety in the open world. I just wish it wasn't as repetitive as not only previous missions that you find in the open world in this game, but missions and side quests from other games as well. And games don't really have a good grasp on that. It doesn't seem like they really capture variety enough in open world settings. They really don't know how to do it. Whereas the main story, they produce so many different ways and different varieties of missions and things like that. So I just feel like video game developers need to take a step back for a minute and just think about, hey, how do we develop open world to be more authentic and more modern rather than feel like a dated practice? And it definitely felt like a dated practice in this game, unfortunately. One gameplay mechanic that I really like that is new to this game, as opposed to Ghost of Tsushima, is that enemies can drop weapons now. And as Atsu, who is also equipped with a gun later on in the game and a bow and arrow, yeah, you would think that I would use those at my disposal, but actually, I very sparingly use those because anytime an enemy dropped a weapon, I would just hit square, pick it up, throw it at somebody. You can throw weapons at people in this game, and that was really fun to do. It's like the most satisfying thing ever. I was like, nope, I'm not even going to use my bow and arrow. I don't have to. I can just pick this up, shoot the archer over there that's trying to kill me. That's it. Like, it was so much fun. Like, that's all I did. I was like, I don't need my other resources because I'm just having too much fun doing this. But this game blew me away. I loved all the gameplay elements. I loved Atsu as a character. I loved the visual story. I loved the visuals in this game. I loved the story in this game. This is a game that could not have been pulled off like 10 years ago, maybe even 15. It just wouldn't happen. This is a game that has to come out today. That's how beautiful and gorgeous it looks, and riding on horseback is fluid. Walking through deserted plains are fluid. There's a variety of different locations. Like there's a snowy location. There's kind of a plain location. There's Mount Yotei, which looks stunning, and you have to climb Mount Yotei at one point. They put a lot of detail into this, and they gave a lot of thought to the mechanics and tinkered some mechanics, what worked, what didn't really work with Ghost of Tsushima, changed it up a little bit, and I think that they have a really solid gameplay mechanic here. It's nothing too convoluted where you have to push multiple buttons at the same time. They understand it, and they really, really nailed it with Ghost of Yotei, despite my criticisms about some sluggish AI and the open world. It's a fantastic game, and I am going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. So if you have played Ghost of Yotei, let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I will leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I will see you at the movies somewhere.